Hello and welcome to another typical Boro podcast. As always, I'm your host, Steve Dixon. Can I keep asking you, please, to keep subscribing to our YouTube channel? Please follow us on X, follow us on Facebook, likes, leave comments. It always helps the podcast getting out there. Today, on my screen, I have, as always, Mr. John Cutler. You all right, John?
Yep, sound. Morning, guys.
Morning, John. There's no Mr. Graham Bandera today. Mr. Graham Bandera is showcasing his artwork in France, as he told me last week. So he's across there having his snails and his wine and his cheese and whatever you do in France. So we did say we're going to get a good substitution in, and I've been a man of my word. So I'd like to introduce, we've got Johnny Hendrie on the pod. We've got Johnny Hendrie on the pod. Welcome to the podcast, John Hendrie.
Hey, how's it going, boys? Listen, it was used to be Johnny Hendrie on the wing, and the next line was, he doesn't do a flaming thing.
So we've got questions for John from the fans. We're going to get into John and his career and all that a bit later on. So he's going to answer all your questions. But to start with, we've got the little matter of Middlesbrough Football Club being unbeaten, being top of the Championship, going to Southampton and getting a fantastic point, 1-1. Adam Armstrong put Southampton ahead on the 61st minute. Calais Sen, with his second goal on the 78th minute, secured a point for Rob Edwards' men down the south coast. I'll come to you, Cuts. Just was a talking point before the game. The team news come out, and there was a change. Morgan Whittaker, who's been a constant talk on this podcast the last few weeks, found himself back in the starting 11 at the expense of Severin Apan. So, what were your thoughts on the change in the team?
Yeah, I was a bit surprised, to be honest. Apan's done well. Looks like a top player. But can we really question Rob Edwards at the moment? Fly 9 the league unbeaten. Everything he's done has been correct. And as we'll talk about in a bit, we've picked up a decent point yesterday. So, yeah, just trust the process, trust the manager. But personally, I would have started with Naipan.
Yeah, Sfera Naipan. John, have you seen much of him in the Middlesbrough shirt so far? Were you surprised to see him on the bench yesterday?
Yeah, it's one of them, obviously, the Boro lost last week. And you sort of won against West Brom last week, and you think, don't mend it's not broken. You expect them just to go with the same team as such. So it was a wee bit of a surprise. But maybe he's thinking it's a tough place to go. They've just come out the Premier League. They're away from home. Maybe Morgan's got a wee bit more physical strength about him than Naipan, who's still a young boy learning as such. So, but the thing we would say about Rob Edwards, he's keen to make changes. You make changes if for the benefit of the team at any point in the game. If you look at Strelick coming off at half-time against West Brom last week, that was a big surprise. And the calls he's made, they've been very, very good up to now. And I remember Sir Alex Ferguson saying years ago, everyone needs a bit of luck. Everyone needs a bit of luck. I mean, he had it at the start of his tenure at Man United. And Rob, I think it's fair to say, at this moment in time, he's getting his calls right, but he's having that wee bit of luck as well. And if you look at the equaliser yesterday, I mean, Senna's, you wouldn't necessarily say it was a clean strike. It was a deflected effort that bounced over the goalkeeper. But you better, we see it as players and managers, you better be a lucky player than a good player. And luck does play a part in it as well, as it did yesterday. But no, his decisions, his subs, they've all worked so far as well. So, no, we won't complain. No, not complaining. And I think he was getting his point last week. I mean, after the West Brom game, the way he went to the supporters and just says thanks for getting behind Morgan, because obviously he took a bit of flack at the previous game at Preston. And I know what players can be like if the crowd are on their backs, they make them come into their shell and everything else. And Rob's just thinking, he said, I need as many players as possible. We're paying him, we're paying him well here. So come on, guys, get behind him. We're a family here, we're a big unit. Don't sort of just have one player's ostracised, the likes of that, because it doesn't help anyone.
Yeah, so, I think it's a great point you make about Rob Edwards, about this togetherness. Mm-hmm. I think when he first came to the club, he was mine, to be honest, but he was lots of supporters. He wasn't the first choice to be manager of Middlesbrough with the list of candidates that were available. And I think he's came in and he's galvanised the fan base at a time, at the start of the season, we didn't have a lot of signings coming in. And he's managed to get the fan base behind him for the first game of the season. And then the players have slowly come through the door. He's got a decent squad now. But I think you can't underestimate how important it's been for Rob Edwards to get the supporters and the players really engaged and behind him is the focal point of Middlesbrough Football Club. Because, like you've said as well, you need a little bit of luck when you're making changes and stuff like that. And with injuries as a manager, you can be a good manager and be an unlucky manager, as you've said. But he's getting the big calls right. 7 games in to be unbeaten. And like Cuts was saying about, changing Whittaker for Napan yesterday, although it raised eyebrows, I think a lot of supporters have said the same as Cuts and yourself. Well, he's not getting much wrong, so we're just going to have to go with it. Whereas a manager maybe last season under Michael Carrick would have been more of a fuss made about that type of change.
Yeah. And it maybe it was because there's about 3 games in a week as well. The midweek game at Stoke, then obviously didn't Pompey on Saturday. You look at it and you're thinking he's probably looking maybe to start with Napan on Tuesday, a home game, because on paper, Stoke at home is easier than Southampton away. You'd think so. So maybe he's thinking, say, okay, I'll keep it in Napan fresh for Tuesday night as such. That might have been in his thinking as such. Just one, I mean, you touched on the 7 games. Was it 5 goals conceded in those games, which is very, very good. But there was just one little thing yesterday, and it was it just annoys you a wee bit. Was when Alfie Jones was dilly-dallying about in the back, and they nearly scored from it. Now, that was the exact same against Doncaster. At the start of the game against Doncaster, I mean, I was at the game then, and I'm thinking, dilly-dallying about Alfie was guilty of it there, and that just set it in motion for the rest of it. You can't, those little things as a manager, and as a supporter as well, they annoy you because it's self-inflicted mistakes just, and you get lazy, you can get casual. Get that out of your game, Alfie. Get that out of your game, because you're a decent player, but don't get too nonchalant in that, because it's just a little chink in his armour that I've spotted in those 2 games in particular.
It's been a big thing at Middlesbrough over the last few years with the supporters as well under Michael Carrick, overplaying at the back, this tippy-tappy football, goalkeeper to centre back, messing about. It's cost with time and time again. And what's been refreshing for me, John, of late under Rob Edwards, is that's been cut out. Yeah. Now we tend to clear our lines. If we need to head it and kick it, we head it and kick it and get the ball away from the danger zone. And we've done that the last home game when Matt Targett just thumped the ball down the pitch to get rid of the ball. That's okay, isn't it, to do that? There's no problem in resetting and regrouping and getting your defence back. And like you say, it crept in a little bit first half yesterday. I think Morris was guilty of dilly-dallying on the ball a little bit too deep in the midfield as well a few times. And after the game, Rob Edwards actually commented on it and said at half-time he had a word with the team about that and got through to the players that's not acceptable and it's going to get into trouble. And he said second half we'll cut it out. So again, Rob Edwards is seeing the same game as what we're seeing the same faults that we don't like to see, and he put it right. So I was quite pleased when he said that after the game, because I don't want to see that creeping back into the way we play as a football club, because it's been refreshing. The one thing we've done well under Rob Edwards since he's came in is we've looked solid at the back, and we look like we're not going to concede stupid goals.
Yeah, not just is it bad for you as a player defensively, or if it's either Alfie or if it's Aidan Morris, but it gives the other team a lift as well, because they nearly scored from that, and it gets the crowd going. And as a way players, a way manager, that's the last thing you want, is a crowd getting lifted through a mistake of your own as such. Okay, they might get lifted if somebody's did a bit of magic, but when you're doing it like that, just from being too casual, you want to knock that out of your game as such. Just little things like that, it just bugs you.
Well, he said that after the game. He said we were giving them oxygen, not by the way they were playing. Our self-inflicted mistakes were giving the stadium oxygen to ignite them, and that's what was frustrating Rob Edwards. If you were playing in a team like that, John, where your central midfield player was dropping into the centre back and tippy-tapping about in his own box, I think you would have probably sorted that out on the pitch back in the day.
No. Oh, if the centre half was doing that, he'd got a mouthful. he would get a mouthful. Aye, but what the hell are you doing? I mean, it's like, on the contra side of it, if I'm playing against a defender and he's farting about like that, I was going to say something else there. If he's farting about like that, it's like, that gives me, I'm thinking, I know that he's got a mistake in him or he's too casual in him, and I'll go and close him down and might get brought down for a penalty, or I might get the ball off him as such. But it's just little things. And yeah, and when with people scouting games as well, they'll say, "Oh, okay, keep your eye on him. He'll always take a chance. Or he's got a rick in him as such." And you've got, as a defender, you've got to get that out of your game. It's just good habits. You get all that them casual things out of your game as such. But no, and getting back to what you're saying, the 10 million passes across. That is one thing which has changed this year. They've been a wee bit more direct, and it's as a spectator, as a fan, you're looking at it and thinking that's what you want. You want to put the other team under pressure as such. At the end of the day, games are winning both boxes as such. Now, if you're being more direct, getting them turn to defender's turn, and then that's giving you as a fan a lift as well, and it's getting the place going. Football is a game of opposites. Do to people what you don't want done to yourself as such. It's as simple as that.
Cuts, you've always went on about that as well as a supporter. That all you want to do is see your team win. You're not necessarily need to be entertained. That's a bonus. It's getting consistency, getting points on the board. Has that pleased you this season, in contrast to the last couple of years, where Middlesbrough now, they might not be at times as pleasant on the eye as a Michael Carrick when it was fast-flowing football at its best, but are you happier to see Middlesbrough now sort of becoming this machine that gets the job done, looks solid at the back, and get over the line points-wise?
Yeah, to be honest, it's good that we've got John on today, because it's a bit of a copycat league, this. So because Guardiola is playing out from the keeper and he wants his defenders to start from the back, when I first started going, it was, well, John was with Ian Armandroyd at Bradford, then he was with Wilco here. Ian Baird we've seen with Slaven up here, where there's no wrong. If people talk about exciting football, there's nothing not exciting about seeing a big man win a header for someone to run in behind and score a goal. You want to see winning football. It created lots of goals. And that's one bugbear for me, that managers don't seem to ever want to play two direct strikers up front anymore. And I think it is down to the fact of managers like Guardiola. Well, if you haven't got the players to play like Guardiola's team, what's wrong with smashing the ball up? Last year under Carrick and the year before, if we were getting beat, we were never thumping the ball up into the box, put it in the mixer, as, well, Bernie would say, and feed off the drop-downs, the knockdowns to get a goal and get you back in the game. I think the big difference...
Cuts. If you look at Guardiola, he's gone the most direct he's been in his career now.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So other managers will copy it, won't they, John?
Yep.
They will.
Yeah, the game against Arsenal, Man City last week, when he went more or less to a 4-5-1 against Arsenal to try and see the game out. Guardiola in years gone by would never have used those tactics. He'd have tried to get a second and a third goal. Now you're seeing teams in the Premier League now, John, just to get off topic a little bit, now starting the long throws again into the box.
Yeah.
I think, there's nothing wrong with that. If it works and it causes people trouble, why not do it?
So we saw that against Newcastle when they were down to 10 men the other week, when Gordon gets sent off. He equalised from a long throw. And Liverpool were cruising. And then Newcastle went more direct, long ball, long throw, set pieces. And they caused havoc for Liverpool, they did. So you're right, whatever's effective, there's no set way of playing football.
Absolutely.
So we got into the second half yesterday. It was level, as you say, apart from target shot. Finn Azaz had missed a sitter against his old club right in front of the goal. Should have scored, side-footed over the bar, thankfully for us. Second half changes
again.
There's
another one as well. That Quarshie should have scored just before half-time as well, shouldn't they?
That's right, yeah. Yeah, they missed a
if were they the better team by far in the first half?
I wouldn't say by far. It was quite a tight game. I would say they looked the more likely to score, if that makes sense. But they weren't really hurting with. Our goalkeeper Sol Bryn, he's never really made a save in the game.
Has he not?
I don't know what to do.
But they've missed a couple of big chances, which you see on the highlights. But
Target hit the post as well, didn't he? That was a good effort, wasn't it?
Target hit the post. Strelets had a half chance where he could have probably got his shot off and he chose not to. He took it on a bit too far. So
how did Strelec do yesterday, guys?
I thought he wasn't brilliant. However, I thought he was better second half, and his hold up play and link up play looked better. I'll come to Cuts on this one. Would you rather see Strelets swap positions with Conway and have Conway up top and Strelets just behind? Maybe might suit him better because he's a good footballer, or do you think it's just a fitness issue? He's not quite up to speed yet.
Yeah, not for me. Like, I think Conway's got a lot more legs than what Strelets has. I thought at times yesterday, he's a focal point, so he can play the ball into his feet. He's a big unit, he's strong. I thought at times yesterday he held the ball up pretty well and laid it off to other players. And I think that'll only improve. He's only been here a short space of time as well. He's still getting used to the players, the way we want to play. I like what I see in him. I like a big centre forward who can hold the ball up, and he's not scared to put himself about either. So I think we're going to see massive improvements from him in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah, we've seen a bit of the Rabanellis yesterday, John, as well. With him in the second half, he got pushed over by Quasi. It was a poor foul, and he should have been booked for it. And he's sitting on the ground as Strelets, and he gives the referee that.
Oh, did it?
What Quasi booked? The referee came across straight away, booked Strelets, who was like absolutely flabbergasted that he had been booked. Maybe where he's abroad, they don't do that as much abroad, and he's going to have to learn that quickly.
Absolutely. No, I must admit, I did like what I seen against West Brom. Okay, only played the first half as such, but just his movement and the positions he got himself into. Obviously, it was a Predators goal as well that he scored from a set piece. So no, certainly, so far so good, but. If he's taking him off after 45, 60, he's probably just getting him up to the speed. And of course, we saw his goal against Germany as well. I mean, that just shows you he's got something about him. But it is early doors. But no, he's certainly adding to the squad. He's a different sort of player than the rest of the guys up top.
Well, it gives him options, Cuts, and again yesterday, second half, Neapan comes on for Whittaker. On 62, Brown comes on for Callum Britton, who had a cut on his foot. 63, Bergzog, three subs at once come on. Bergzog, Sen, and Hansen come on for Conway, Strelic, and Morris on 72 minutes. 5 changes in the second half.
Guys, see when they brought these 3 on initially, did they change the system?
Yeah.
Or did it?
When they brought the 3 on, Callum Britton, who was playing at right wing back, I think they went more to a back 4. So pushed on a bit.
Who was right back then? Who went right back? Ayling went right back today.
Yeah.
So it was Edmondson, yeah.
Apparently he suffered a bad cut to his, close to where your metatarsal is, in the first half, but was bleeding bleeding heavy at half time, they said, but he came back out and played the second half. So hopefully it's just one of them things that I would imagine it'll be really sore if he's suffered quite a bit of blood loss.
So it'll be okay on Tuesday then for Stoke?
I'm not so sure. It sounded a nasty one. They might have to rest him possibly for Stoke and bring him back for the Saturday game. It's one of those. It depends how quickly it heals. It's a sore one, But
I'm laughing here. I might have to rest him, but we're cut here. Come on. I've got a silver just facing me here, guys. And I got it for Bradford, and it's John Hendrie in recognition of his 173 consecutive league appearances, 173 league appearances. I tell you what, I had more than a few cuts than I played with, guys.
I know. It's a different game now, John, isn't it? That's the thing. It's a different game. They said he lost a lot of blood. I mean, I don't know how much blood you can lose out your foot, but he lost a lot of blood, and that's why he come off. But they might patch him up and he might make it back. It was the same with George Edmondson, wasn't he? He had the black eye and he was back yesterday. Played well. He played really well. George Edmondson. He's arguably man of the match.
See, guys. What you want to see the lads sort of battling on and things. And sometimes the medical guys can say, just, hey, you sure you're not right? But sometimes the players have got to say, hey, I'm all right. Come on, roll the sleeves up. Let's get on with this here as such. And then take responsibility themselves. Because you know your own injury. Sometimes you do know your own injury, sometimes more than physios and the medical guys. That's how you battle on at times.
Do you think that you get that more, John, when your team's doing well? You know, when your team's struggling, and you know, is it easier to sort of make the injury last a week or two longer when you're winning, you're top of the league, everything's going well? Are you frightened that you could lose your place in a team that?
No, I think it's the other way around, to be honest with you. If the team's playing well, you don't want to miss a game. You think, no, I want to be out there. But whereas if your team's losing, you think, we're in a bad run of form here. And it's like the team's low confidence. Oh, I might have a wee break here. As such, I think it's the other way around.
Yeah.
I think, again, it's football changing, John, innit? Because when I first started going to Weston Park, my two all-time heroes were Tony Mowbray and a player you'll have played against in a playoff game. Gary Hamilton would have tackled a brick wall.
Yeah.
For me, that can lift the fans as much as a nice pass sometimes, and especially at Weston Park, I would say that was the case. Yep. Since we moved to the Riverside, it's been more flair plays. But yeah, as a fan, I want to see my defenders having black eyes and putting the bodies on the line. And not only does it give the fans a lift, it gives the fellow players a lift as well, that they're willing to do that and cover the hard yards and take a knock, so to speak.
Yeah, play your strengths. Play your strengths. Like Morgan was great when he was in the wars, battling everyone else. He was great in there when he was getting wired in.
Yeah,
like that. Play your strengths, and that does, especially the terraces as well. And that we're talking about giving the place a lift, giving the whole. So if the crowd gets a lift and that spreads out onto the pitch, just little things like that. And they don't have to be from forward players.
Yeah, I think we'll get a bit more of that belief in this Rob Edwards team. It seems a tougher side than the last couple of years under Michael Carrick, who always seemed a little bit frail. You know, I always thought Michael Carrick's team the last couple of years could be bullied in games. The look that if teams were pressing and were physical, we used to go missing. I think this season now we're seeing a little bit more toughness coming through from the coaching staff as well, which is good to see. You know, on the touchline this year, they're engaged, they're up, the coaching staff are up, they're at it, they're shouting and bawling, they're giving instructions to the players throughout the game, which we haven't had for the last couple of years as well. And I think that's a good sign as well, that the manager is engaged with these players throughout the game, because the game changes, as you know, John. You can set it one way and the game changes, and certainly as your manager, if he sees it, there's nothing wrong with getting them instructions out during the game rather than waiting for half time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely, and I agree with you in respect with about being soft. We were too nice last year.
Absolutely.
On numerous occasions. I mean, I work in the rooms, and I said that on several occasions. It's too nice out there. And who's the ones who's... If you make a mistake, it doesn't matter. It does matter. It does matter. You've got to install good habits. And it's not got to come for the coaches. It's got to come for the senior players. Every football club's only as good as its senior players. And the senior players should be digging them out as such. Yeah.
So, second half, obviously we got the goal back after the changes. It was Luke Ayling again with an absolutely superb ball bent round into the channel for Calliosen. He took it past the player, shoots across the goalkeeper. The defender comes across, tries to block it, clips the defender, loops over McCarthy into the back of the net. Massive goal, I thought. You know, to keep that unbeaten run going, I think it just breeds confidence. And I can't talk about what that's like to be 7 games unbeaten in the season and top of the championship. Cuts, you can't talk about what it's like to be top of the league, 7 games unbeaten in the championship. But somebody that can is sitting here, Mr. John Hendrie, because I'm just looking in 94-95 under Brian Robson. First game of the season, you scored 2 goals against Burnley on the opening day, 2-0 win. Was followed by a 2-0 win at Southend, a 1-0 win against Bolton Wanderers, 1-0, 1-0 against Derby County. Then you followed it up with 2 draws away at Watford and home to Sunderland. And then you beat West Bromwich Albion 2-1 at home. So the first 7 games, your side with Brian Robson, 17 points, top of the league. Exactly mirror image of what we are now, 17 points, top of the league. Can you tell the listeners and the viewers what it's like to be in a dressing room in that position?
We should have had 19. We should have beat Sunderland. Yeah, that was obviously, it was brilliant. Rob was just come in. I remember the back end of the previous season, and let's face it, that Lenny's last season, it had gone flat. And I remember we did do at Craythorne Hall. The chairman put a barbecue on, and I just said to him, "says we need something." Because I was a club captain, I was a senior player. I says, "We need something, Mr. Chairman. We need something to spark this off here." Says, "John, don't you want it? It won't be a spark. It'll be an explosion." And sure enough, he brought ex-England captain, ex-Man United captain, Brian Robson into the fore. And we thought, this is magnificent. And Robbo actually rang me up because I was, as I say, a club captain, senior player. He said, John, I want to meet you at Wetherby. Myself and Viv want to meet you at Wetherby, have a chat, what you think we need to kick on from here. So I met up with him, just give him my opinion and things. I mean, one in particular said we need a big bruiser, a big ugly centre half. And they went Nigel Pearson. I says, yeah, exactly. Someone like him, a big leader. So that was us going into the season. First game was obviously Burnley. Magical start. An emotional time as well coming in. I mean, Rob was his first game as a manager, as a leader. And I was fortunate enough to not just scored the 2 goals in that game. I think I scored the 2 at Southend as well. We won 2-0 down there. So yeah, it was a great start from us. And it was just like the old snowball effect. But the good thing about it was with Robbo, it's like very much times on our travels, we play 3 at the back. We go like 3-5-2. Still the 2 up front. But then we were at home, we'd probably go 4-4-2. So we would change our systems. So it wasn't just set in stone the system that we would play. But we had bags of experience through that team. Obviously myself and Wilco. Then you get Big Nige as well. You get Robbo himself. Yeah, it was a great season to be involved with. And all years later, I mean, I remember asking Gibbo a few years ago, Gibbo, what's been your favourite times at Boro? And obviously, he never mentioned Europe. He never mentioned the Carling Cup. He went, the Robbo years, John. The Robbo years. They were mine. Just how the club, just how much they grew, what have you. And it was exciting times. I'm sure it was the same for you as supporters. But for me, I mean, I was what, 30 or so, 31 when Robbo came into town. It was brilliant to be involved with. And just because his presence of what he'd done in the game and everything else. Not only that, he was a great guy as well. He was a great guy, and you looked up to him, you respected him. And it was even further down after that, when he brought the superstars in, your Ravanellis, your Gini, all them guys, and people saying, oh, John, you're just on the bench. I said, hey, don't worry about me. This is an adventure for me as well. And I'm just been delighted to be part of this here. So it was great times it was. And it was a great time to be a footballer, as indeed it was as a supporter at that time as well, of the club.
Cuts, I remember those times under Brian Robson at Ayson Park, what John's talking about. Magical times as a supporter at the time. What were your thoughts on that time of yourself as a fan at Ayson Park? And can you see similarities between the team we've got now and the team then, in terms of we've got, at the moment, in my opinion, with Callum Britton coming in and Alfie Jones, in people like that, Luke Ayling, we've got a little bit of leadership qualities like we did back in John's day, but also we've got a little bit of stardust coming through. Can you see similarities?
Yeah, it was exciting times when Robbo came in, obviously. But I think the main difference was when Robbo came in, the fans before the season were probably expecting promotion or be challenging in the top 2. Now, if you'd have said to the Boro fans before this season, when Rob came in, do you think we'll be top 2? The bulk of them probably would have said, I'd be happy with the playoffs. But I think after the start, and this is a question for John, after the start of that, I think the fans now, if you can't get carried away in football, then there's no point following it. So we all are. Would the players now be believing, John, even if they weren't thinking at the start of the season about being serious promotion top 2 contenders, after the start they've had, surely that dressing room will be saying to each other, we've got a real chance here.
Yeah, you're right. But if I'm a player, I wouldn't be saying it to the press. I wouldn't be saying it in public.
No.
I'll keep it within the dressing room as such. It's a wee bit similar, let's say, when I went to Barnsley. I left Boro in 96, October 96. I left Boro, I think, 8th in the Premier League, and I went to Barnsley, who was 6th in the Championship. I went and joined Wilco, striking partner down at Barnsley. And I remember we went out, lads' Christmas party, went out to do with the wives and everything else. I think we just won at Bramall Lane that day. And I remember myself, Wilco, Neil Thompson, Neil Redfern, I remember us having a lot of chat, and because we were experienced players, and we thought, I tell you what, we've got a fantastic chance. If we steer clear of injuries, suspensions, loss of form, we've got a brilliant chance of getting promoted here. We're going under the radar because no one's expecting Barnsley to go up because big clubs in Wolves, Sheffield, all the teams, the other ones, no one's expecting us to do it. But us as players, as experienced players, we had the belief and we knew that we had a great chance. So if I'm a player in there, I'm thinking, that was me personally. I don't know what the players are thinking at this moment in time. But don't sing it for the rooftops. Do not, because it's like false dawns as a result. And there's a long, long way to go. Ask me now, would playoffs, because they've made such a good start, would playoffs, would that be good enough? I still think playoffs would be a great result this season. I do, because there's a long, long way to go. And there will be hiccups through this course of the season. There will be ups and downs. There always is. You have a little lull in form. And the Boro's, Rob's getting his calls right just now. They're getting a wee bits of luck, like the deflection goal yesterday. Everyone needs luck. But, yeah, as we start just now, I'll still take playoffs just now, guys. If you ask me now, I'll take playoffs.
Well, that was a remit under Michael Carrick, wasn't it? That, and I never understood at the start of the season when people were saying Rob Edwards has come in. I don't, what's the ambition for this season? And a lot of people were saying, oh, we haven't bought anybody mid-table. And I was thinking, well, if Michael Carrick had stayed in charge, the ambition would have been minimum of playoffs. So I didn't understand the shift change because Rob Edwards has come in that those ambitions had changed. And I was pleased to see within the club with Steve Gibson and Neil Bowser, they obviously kept that ambition of promotion because they have, kept the word. They've backed Rob Edwards. They've brought in 11 new players, spent some money. And I agree with both of you, really. I think the playoffs would still be considered a decent season because of all the change of personnel and manager. However, I do think now we've got a great opportunity to stay in and around that top two. And the next game coming up, which we'll get into, Stoke City on Tuesday night, first against third. If we can go and get 3 points against Stoke on Tuesday night, that's a huge statement of intent. It could possibly put us 5-6 points clear at the top of the division, with Portsmouth away after that coming up, who are sitting 17th in the division. And then we could go to an international break with an actual decent gap at the top. If people aren't taking Middlesbrough seriously now, if we were to get 4 points or 6 points from the next 2 games before the international break, I think people are going to have to take us seriously then, Cuts, don't you?
Absolutely. But I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered about other teams or whatever talking about us. We know the ability of some of the players we've got in this squad. And I was like you at the start of the season, before we even brought some of them in. Morris and Hackney is your 2 central midfielders. For me, they're as good as anything in this division. I think the span of the team's really strong. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Lenihan, so it's a shame to see he's had a bit of a setback. But I think you need that. I think we've brought in the right calibre types of players. I think last year under Johnny, he was a leader by example. He wasn't particularly a shouter on the pitch. So I think we've got a few more leaders out there. A bit of, we can't use this word, housery. I'll say housery. So you've got the goalkeeper near the end of games going down with cramp, taking ages to take throw-ins. Under Carrick, that didn't happen. And if that's, I think we're turning, last year we were turning wins into draws and defeats. This year we're turning draws into wins. And I think there's been a massive shift change. You might think I'm getting a little bit carried away, but it's definitely, it's massive shift change.
I think the expectation level was lower because it was a quiet window. Rob never came into late. Obviously the club took their time in making a decision who to appoint and everything else. But then the window was quiet for the simple reason they were waiting. They were waiting and getting the ones out. Your Azazis, your Vandenbergs. As soon as they went, that could sort of just start everything, get the ball rolling with getting the guys in. So that took its time. That took its time. So those guys, your Strelics and the likes of that, they never come into your Senis. They never come into late doors. And because nothing was happening, that's why I think the majority of support, everyone thought, well, okay, you've not got high expectations for the season. rather than get out and get players 3 months ago, but signature signings. The window was a slow burner. As a result, I think expectation level was low key as well. But I think another reason why, I mean, Boro's got a good chance this year. Normally, you think the 3 that come down, you think, okay, they'll be certs to go back up. But with all due respect, I mean, Southampton, Ipswich, Leicester, they're not setting ahead of the light as such. So that gives everyone else hope. I think this is the most open championship. I do. I think it's dog eat dog, and I think anyone can beat anyone. There's no one who'll run away with it as such.
Yeah, I agree. Just to mention, obviously, I was giving away tickets for the Stoke game on Tuesday night. 2 pairs of tickets, courtesy of Midas Cladden of Middlesbrough, our sponsor. They've been won by Carol Ann and Blaine Allison are the 2 winners for the 2 pairs of tickets for the Stoke City game. So
I'll see you there, guys. I'm there Tuesday. I'll see you there.
So well done to Blaine, well done to Carol. I want to get into asking John some questions. I promised the fans we'll get into asking questions about John and his career and whatever else they want to ask him. So I'm going to start off with a question for him myself because I'm the host, I can ask a question. So
he does what he wants. He does what he wants. He's Dicko. He does what he wants.
Exactly. Perks of the job. When I was a young whippersnapper back on Tyneside, John, all my mates around me, obviously big staunch Newcastle fans, and a lot of them in their bedrooms had posters of a certain John Hendrie on the wall. He was a favourite of my mates, so 1 or 2 might tune in to watch this podcast just because you're on, funny enough. Yeah. But I remember 1988-89, you coming to Newcastle with a big fanfare of signings for £500,000 with Dave Besant, the goalkeeper who saved the penalty for Wimbledon in the cup final, Andy Thorne, John Robertson come in. Newcastle had big expectations that season at St James's Park. They got relegated, had a terrible season, but you didn't. You had a great season for Newcastle. I think you got Player of the Year 88-89, and you were named in the PFA Team of the Year in 88-89. Is that right?
I don't know if I was named in the PFA Team of the Year as such.
I've read that on the internet. It might be wrong, but you did get Newcastle Player of the Year.
Yeah, but
and what I was going to ask you, John, was what was your experience like of playing for Newcastle, and why did you leave after only 1 season if you were the Player of the Year?
The experience was, everything was sort of determined by what was going on in the background, in the respects. You know the way it's been with Mike Ashley in recent years, or the aggro off the pitch where the punters weren't having him, they wanted to be a takeover. Well, that was exactly the season. It was right club. So I had to pick quite a few clubs. It was the right club at the wrong time. And I thought, right, okay, I'm going up there. It'd be a great move. But from day one, you think, what's going on here? What is going on? For instance, I mean, I left Bradford. Bradford went to Sweden that summer. They flew out to Sweden pre-season. I got to Newcastle, top flight club. Bradford had just missed out in the playoffs, ironically, against Boro. Newcastle go to Sweden as well. We go in a boat. So what you think? It's like 2 Bob millionaires, cutting costs and everything else. But the biggest thing was the background hassle. Instead of, when you're running out on a Saturday afternoon, instead of running out to Newcastle, the chance of Newcastle, everyone being together, the crowd being with you and everything else, you're running out to sack your board. Sack your board, and you think that's spreading right round the terraces. Instead of it being behind the team, it was going the other way around towards the team. So it was tough in that respect. And also, it's like you mentioned the 4 guys that came in there. The lads who already were there, they'd been offered sort of new contracts and everything else, and they didn't get them. They didn't get them as such. So there was a wee bit of, shall I say, unrest, because they felt the new guys coming in were on a hell of a lot more than they were on. I have no idea if we were, if we weren't. Hey, listen, it didn't bother me, but when Ravanelli, Janino and all them guys are coming in later on in my career, I signed my contracts. I'm just, let them get on with theirs. So, but it was the other way around at Newcastle. You've got some players who there was a wee bit of unrest because the new players were on this and they went on that. So you've got that in the dressing room, and to a certain extent, a split dressing room, and then you've got that off the pitch as well. So it was a recipe for disaster. But I mean, I just in there done my job. It's like one thing about me is I remember my roots. I just give my lot whatever. I would just give my 100%. That's all I can do. So personally, I done all right. I done okay. I was happy enough I done. But as a team wise, it was just the team and club wise, it was in turmoil. And I've said on numerous occasions, if Maradona had been in that team, it wouldn't have made any difference. It was just.
They had Mirandina, John, not Maradona.
Oh, we had Mirandina, but we needed 2 balls. We needed 2 balls, one for him and one for us. He didn't quite get the 1-2. You wouldn't say 1-2. You go, right, see you later, ball. You'll never get this back. What have you? But so that was the case. It was just the boardroom problems, and in effect, that was why I get sold. That was why I get sold. I mean, they bought me for £500,000, and they sold me for 600 grand. So they made £100 grand profit on me. But the reason why they sold it was because the board, the directors, McKeegan, all them, they were all buying shares up. And the only way they could buy shares up is if they're getting money in. So I was an asset. So if they sold me, they could get more shares to try and keep Officer John Hall as such. So it was all political. It was all political. I mean, right through my career, I was a pro 19 years. I did not ask for a transfer once in my career. I was one of those. I signed the contract. I won't break it. If the club wants to break it, then so be it. But I won't break it. I'll stand by the contract.
Cuts, you had a question by John?
Yeah, obviously, John mentioned the playoff game there. You beat us 3 times that season. I bet your confidence must have been sky high coming to Western Park that night, was it? And what do you remember about the game? I remember it being an amazing atmosphere. You had some good players. Stuart McCall, top player, wasn't he? Ian Ormondroyd, who played up front with yourself. You had a really, really good set of players there.
Yeah, Rodney Trotter. Big Roders. Yeah, was it Ormondroyd or Hemorrhoids? That's what the older fans used to sing that. Ian Hemorrhoids, what have you. Yeah, obviously, you mentioned 2 games. I mean, 3 games that Bradford had won the 3 games. In the first playoff game at Valley Parade, it was 2-1 to Bradford. I think Trevor Senior scored for the Boro. And it should have been 5 or 6. In effect, that's what Bradford lost it that day, because they were totally dominant. And sat in the stand was Colin Cooper. I think he was suspended. And Bruce and Toddy had said to Colin, says, I'm not you, just study Hendrie. Because next week we play them in the second leg at Eastern Park. You're doing a man-to-man on him. You're going everywhere with him. So I'd done well for the game at Valley Parade. I mean, I think it was Lozzie I was up against, and it gave him a tough time. But as I say, we won 2, but it should have been 5 or 6. Get back to Eastern Park, and Colin Colin was outstanding. He was outstanding. He just man marker wherever I went. He done a job on me as such. So that's nullified me. And Boro, yeah, Boro were excellent that night. I mean, Hammy ran the show that night. I mean, obviously Hammy and Bernie, I think, scored the goals, and it was a terrific atmosphere from a Boro point of view. So yeah, that's what happened. Happened. I mean, I was shackled on the evening, and Boro, to be honest with you, the man in the match was Hammy. It wasn't Colin Cooper. Hammy was different class that night.
Yeah. So we'll go through some questions from the fans for you, John, because we've got a few. Graham Bandira, obviously, who's not on the podcast today because he's in France. He's saying, ask how Edward Scissorhands is. I think he means Paul Wilkinson because of his nails. He's asking how Edward Scissorhands is.
Big Wilco, I tell you. Well, I remember when he first came to the club. When he first came to the club, it was like he had long hair, didn't he? He had the long flowing locks. He had the long nails. And he ran a wee bit. He didn't run. He ran. She would say he had an effeminate run, or a style of effeminate. So I was unsure. I was unsure about him. Unsure about him as such. But I think I've said on numerous occasions when it was I had to share a room with him. had to share a room when he first came to the club, and because of the long hair, the nails and everything else, his mannerisms, I thought, oh, share a room with this guy. So I went to bed with one eye open that night. I'll tell you, when back to the wall. And he's in. We're staying overnight, and he's in the ensuite toilet, and I heard this humming noise, and I thought, what the hell's going on here? What's going on? No, what's he doing in there? Fortunately, when I went into the toilet in the morning, it was a nasal trimmer, and all his nasal hair was in the sink. And I went, welcome, apologies. I had my doubts about you, pal. But there, I'm happy. But I tell you what, the big lads, I love the big lad, because I tell you what, you get into the wars with Wilco. He was brilliant in both boxes, not just attacking. You get that ball in the box, and he'll go through a wall for you. He'll go when it hurts. And bloody noses and everything else. But defensively as well, in both boxes, he was a great attacker of the ball. He was, and as Wilco says. He says, I was a big battering ram. I mean, I'm taking all the kicks and the elbows and everything else, he says, and he just get the flick-ons and run fast and score a goal. And I went, in all the glory, I said, you'll do it for me, Wilco. You'll do it for me. It's, I love the big fella. And obviously, we achieved it together. And it's not just there, at Barnsley as well. We had a successful time at Barnsley. We helped him get in the top flight for, may I add, the only time in their 150, 60-year history, they've only been up there once, and it was that combination that helped him get up there. So,
still the best centre forward I've seen by Middlesbrough in the year.
Oh, he's honest. Honest as the day is long. He'll put a shift in. He'll work his socks off there. A player's player.
Well, Graham was also saying that he loved your goal in the League Cup at Ayresome Park against Norwich, one of the greatest Boro goals he's ever seen. James Poole is also saying no, surely his goal against Millwall, which is getting a lot of talk. Paul McLean is coming in saying is John's favourite goal the one against Millwall. I was there in the Holgate end that day. What is your favourite Boro goal, John? Or your best Boro goal? Not your favourite, your best maybe, your best quality.
It's hard to say. I mean, they were different, weren't they? They were totally different. The Norwich goal, I mean, I just come off the right-hand flank, cut inside, and I was just thinking, the old, bender, top left, but left foot bender. I mean, normally they end up in Rosehead, but I'd scored several goals like that. I know I was more renowned for outside of my boot shooting and what have you. But I mean, that was a good goal. The Millwall goal was just something completely different, because one of my biggest assets as a player, I was just running with the ball. I mean, I had good balance. I could go left, I could go right, and just run with the ball. And more often than not, to take the pressure off the team. So if I'm running with the ball, then obviously the back four can get pushed up the pitch. We can play a higher line. But that day, I mean, when I got the ball, I mean, the first thing in my mind was, Bernie, stay onside. So of course Bernie had made a blind sign, run out to the right wing. So that's one thing in the back of my mind. Right, okay, can I be offside right there? You can stay out there. And then it was just like, it was like the sea opening up. It was just like everything opened up. And then when you eventually do get to the edge of the box, I mean, it's on my left hand side, and you've got their keeper, Brian Horn, who later came and loaned to the Boro. I mean, I think he was about 30 stone or something. I thought, well, if I can't score past him, then we've a better chance of scoring that. But no, totally different goals. Just totally different goals, but nice in their own sort of way as such. But yeah, I enjoyed that.
Barry Stimpson says, along with Robbie Mustoe, you're his all-time favourite Boro player. Does John think his hat-trick against Burnley was the most complete in his career? And what a day that was, by the way.
Yeah, that was that was the same season as Robbo's first season. Obviously, I scored the 2 against Burnley at home. Then we went down there just before Christmas and won 3-0 down there. And if you look at, I don't know if you look at my reaction after I think we scoring the second or third, I can't remember now. And I'm getting at one of them, and they're like that, because the big lad Steve Davis tried to do me. He tried to do me, and that's why I've gave it the old fist up like that, and what have you. Oh yeah, but that we had the Christmas party that night, the club Christmas party, and I can assure you that was a really good night. But on the subject of hat tricks, I mean the special one, and it's the only Boro shirt that I've got left, because over the years I've given away to different charities, is the hat trick against Blackburn. That's the only Boro shirt that I've got
I was
left.
there that day. Remember that?
That was unique in the respect. I think it's the third hat trick in the Premier League. Cantona get the first one, Matt Robbins get the second one, and I get the third one, first Scotsman. And to score against my boyhood hero, Kenny Dalglish, as Blackburn team come in, that meant a lot. And I've got the ball upstairs as well that he signed, so that meant a lot to me. That's only a bit of Boro, well, not only a bit, but a big bit of Boro memorabilia, as well as the last boot at Ayresome Park, which went missing for 25 years. Did you hear that story? No. So obviously we played, and in those days, you'd only wear about 2 pairs of boots for the season, match boots. And we after the Boro, after the Luton game, last game at Ayresome Park, we played at Tranmere the following week, and I got hoisted up on somebody's shoulders, and then when you're hoisted up, you can't do it, and so somebody's nicked my boots. So supporters came, somebody's nicked one boot, another guy's nicked another boot, and you don't think anything of it. You don't, and people always say to me, John, whatever happened to the boots? You scored the last goal at Ayresome Park. What happened to those boots? And I went, I don't know. Because you don't think of things like that. I'll keep this because it's iconic and what have you. So sure enough, the left boot, which wasn't the goal I scored with, someone borrowed it to the club and it'd be on display. The guy who robbed it, who gave it to the club to keep on display. But the right boot had no idea. And then years later, you're only talking about COVID times. Bernie said to me, he says, John, my mate Jagger's got your boot. I said, what boot? He says, oh, the boot for Tranmere. He robbed it off you. You're joking. You're joking. And Bernie knew him. And he says, yeah. He said it all those years. I says, Bernie, nicked. He says, do you want it back? I says, yeah, it would be nice. Of course I want it back. He stole it. So anyway, the following game, I swear to God, I'll show it. I've got it here. I'll show it to you in a sec. The following game, Bernie came in with my boot in a Morrison's bag, in a plastic bag, gave it to me at the Riverside Stadium, and that was it. So 25 years on, I was reunited with my boot, which means special to me. Now, it's in this room, guys. Just give me 10 seconds. Give me 10 seconds.
If you're listening, John's just off to find his boot.
I'm just plugging in, boys. Plugging in. Got that there.
Oh, the old Nike.
So it's John Hendrie's got. So I've got it in a case and everything.
Nostalgia, class.
Yeah. So I was reunited, 25 years later with that, which is, as I say, I'm not a memorabilia man, but my father-in-law made that. He was a carpenter, and he made that in a case for us. So that means a lot to me, guys.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Money can't buy things like that, John.
No. No, not at all, pal.
Well, Natalie's messaged in, John, saying, watching Boro in the early 90s was one of the core memories of my childhood. What game or memory do you have playing for the Boro that will stay with you forever that not many people would know?
Well, most people will know. Obviously, 2 spring to mind. Or 3 spring to mind. Or 4. Well, you mentioned the last goal at Ayresome Park. That day was just magical. You've got all the ex-players coming in, see a red and white, and we knew if we won that day against Luton, we'd virtually have promotion into top flight, which was added the spice to it. My mum and dad were down for that as well, and they didn't go down that much. So that was a brilliant day. Obviously the Blackburn hat trick as well against my hero, the Millwall games, the Norwich goal as well. So there's certainly four iconic. Well, certainly 3 of them are iconic anyway. And yeah, so many memories, so many special memories. It's and no matter where you go, obviously I played at several clubs, but most people say, "Oh, remember you from Boro, remember you from Boro, remember you from Boro."
Do you remember all your goals, John? Are you one of those players
No.
that remember all your goals, or?
No, I don't. Someone has sent us a little YouTube video of all my goals at Boro, and I couldn't remember them all. I couldn't remember headers. I scored some headers. I might have been against Barnsley or Wolves, and I couldn't remember them. I didn't know I'd scored headers. I thought it was just Wilco who scored the headers. It's,
You want to tell him that one, John?
yeah.
Chris Hughes is messaging in saying, did you feel like you should have had more of a chance in the Premiership, given that you scored a lot of goals to get us promoted?
But it started that. I'll tell you what happened. It started that season. Obviously, we got promotion, but at the start of that season, we played out in Brann against Bergen, and I tore my groin. I got a bad groin, and I'd never had a groin injury in my life. And so as a result, I missed the start of the season. That's why Higgy scored the first goal. My good pal Higgy scored the first goal at the Riverside. But I laugh with Higgy to this day. Actually, you only scored it because I wasn't playing. Because if I'd been fit, you wouldn't have played Higgy. So it's like, and I had 2 or 3 injuries that season. So it wasn't because it wasn't opportunity wise. When I was fit, Robbo had me in the squad as such. But I felt as if I was always chasing my fitness, and I had several injuries, which just disrupted everything with me as such. So no. It's just luck of the draw. I mean, sometimes you get injured. Hey, such is life. Part and parcel of the job.
Got 2. I'm going to try and fit 2 more questions in, John, because we're nearly on time. But I want to fit these 2 in because they're good questions. The first one was by Paul Mack. What was the best team that you played in your career? Personally, he absolutely loved you watching you play for the Boro. But what was the best team that you consider that you played in?
Club or team?
Well,
I played for some big clubs. I mean, you look at Coventry, Bradford, Newcastle, Leeds, Boro, Barnsley.
So out of all those, including Middlesbrough, what was the best team you played in?
It's difficult. That's a difficult one. That is it's. Do you know what? I would need to sit down and think about that. I couldn't. Apologies, Paul, because I would need to sit down and think about that, because I was a young lad coming through at Coventry. I remember making my debut, top flight debut, and I'm playing with an England international, Jerry Francis. I'm playing with an Irish international, Jerry Daly, both captains of the countries. And then obviously, my times at Boro as well. I would need to sit down and have a think of that. So apologies to Paul, off the top of my head.
Well, this is a great question to finish on. If you can't name what was the best team you played in your career, so what about this one from John? Can you pick a select 11 players of the players that you played with, not just at Boro, as in your career as a player or a manager? So if you were going to pick John Hendrie's best 11 that you've played with in your career, can you give us your best 11? You can put yourself in it if you want as well.
That's, you know what, I done one of these for the Sun not that long ago, and it was just Boro players, and it was the reporter Russell got in touch with me. It was where are they now? It was that sort of thing, and I had to put down my favourite Boro team and everything else. But I can't remember what it was. I cannot remember what it was. But I mean,
what's the best of your career if you go through all the teams you played with?
Right, but you go to Coventry.
Are we going 4-4-2, John? The old school?
Yeah, it's. I swear to God, it's like you're at Coventry. You're playing with the likes of who am I playing with there? As I say, Jerry Francis, Jerry Daly. Then at Boro with.
Did you play with Stuart Pearce, John?
Yes, I played in his debut. See the likes of that. I would need you, to sort of say, right, okay, what about here, John? What about here, John? Do you play with him? Stuart Pearce made his debut Football League debut for Coventry against QPR, and we won 1-0. Coventry won 1-0, and I played that day. There again, I'll need to sit down to be given an honest answer, and because it would be an oversight in some part, because what about him? See, I would never have thought of Stuart Pearce, because you forget all about him, because that's the early part of your career. I played with Gary Gillespie. Who went to Liverpool.
Well, I tell you what, I'll be kind. Fire a team off the top of your head that you played with. That would be top of the championship now. Fire a team off. Goalkeeper.
I'll rather than all the clubs, I'll do the Boro one, because that'll be easier.
That's fine.
That'll be easier rather than go through all my clubs, because all my clubs, it would take me ages to remember. Right. So this has been my personal choice with the lads that I played with. Obviously, at Boro, Pearce, Stephen Pearce.
You got a big thumbs up from me, John. I was a goalkeeper, and I'll die on this hill that Stephen Pearce was a better goalkeeper than Mark Schwarzer. I actually trained with him when I was at the Boro, and I knew how good Stephen Pearce was when I trained with him at Middlesbrough. He nearly got in the England squad at the time when I was at Middlesbrough, and Stephen Pearce for me was the best goalkeeper I've seen in a Boro jersey.
I agree with you in that respect. He's better than Schwarzer. He's much better than Mark Schwarzer. Yeah, 100%. So who'd be fullbacks? Would it be Coops? Who'd I play with? Coops. I played with Curtis. I played with Neil Cox. You might need to help me out here, guys. So probably Colin Cooper, I think.
Cooper's going right back.
Yeah. Morga. You put Morga.
Tony Mowbray.
Yeah. I never played with Parlett. Played with Big Nige. Big Nige was
Nigel Pearson. Yeah.
Left back.
You're not going Branco, are you?
For nights out, yes, for nights out. Who'd my left back be? Because the only left back I played at Boro was with
Jimmy Phillips was there, wasn't he?
That's the only one I could imagine. That's the only one I can think of. There's no other outstanding left back when I was there. Then you've got, obviously, I'll need to put Robbo in there.
Robbie Musto.
Yeah, Robbie. Yeah, Robbie and I signed at the same time. Robbie Musto. I prefer playing down the middle. Rather than out wide. But I've got to put in Wilco, haven't I? Up top.
Wilco up top.
Yeah.
Is Rav getting in? Gininho?
Oh, yeah.
Emerson?
See, that's what I'm saying. Oh, right. Yeah, you're absolutely bang on. So I've got to have Emerson in there. Oh, Emerson with Robbie. I'll drop Robbo. He can be the play manager. Emerson.
Stuart Ripley.
Yeah.
Not that I want to put names in you.
Yeah, but where am I going to... Can I play?
You can play. You can play.
You'll be up front with Wilco.
Yeah, me and Wilco up front. Bernie, custard pie, you son. You're custard pie, pal. You're out, Bernie. You're offside, Bernie. You're offside. Me and Wilco up front. Rippers on the right. Emerson, Robbie Musto. I just need someone on the left.
Alan Moore.
Moorsley was still a young boy, wasn't he? He was still a young boy. Unless... But there's another way around this. I could put...
Stick Bernie on the left just to annoy him.
I could put Ripper on the left, me on the right, and I could put Bernie up with Wilco. There we go, pal.
No room for Higgy. You're upsetting a few of your pals here,
I
John.
forgot. That's what I'm saying. That's why I put Higgy at left back.
Listen, John, he's tried his best. He's put us 11 out of sorts. The problem is he's played with so many good players he can't possibly...
Do you know, Dicko, see the last two questions, Dicko?
Yeah.
Not that question, but the one for Paul before as well. If you'd have primed me yesterday or a few days ago, if you'd have known beforehand, I would have went through all my clubs and I would have came out with a proper structured for both of those questions.
Well,
so sorry about that, pal.
I'll take the blame for that. I only got the questions yesterday. But what we'll do is, obviously we're going to get John back on the podcast at some point. So next time we get John on the podcast, we will get John's best 11, 100%.
Yeah.
That's a promise. Is that okay by you, John?
Yep. Absolutely.
Right, guys,
So-
we're out,
So
we're
we
out
get
of
Stoke
time.
on Tuesday, guys. Stoke. I was just
Stoke,
looking at them.
yeah.
So their last away game, they lost 1-0 at QPR. And on their travels, they've won it. I think they won it at Sheffield Wednesday, and they won it at Southampton, which was a good win for them. So out of the 3 away games, they've won 2 and lost 1. But I still think they'll be too strong. And like I said, get 3 points against Stoke, and that makes a good point, a great point from the Southampton game.
We'll have a quick prediction
Absolutely.
before we finish. Quick prediction. Stoke on Tuesday. John, what are you
2-0.
going for? 2-0 Boro.
Yeah.
Cuts?
3-1.
3-1. I'll go 1-0 Boro. There you go. Another tight game, but we'll get over the line. So we've got 3 wins.
4 points. Yeah, then we're on to Pompey on Saturday, and we're going to win down there as well, because they've not been doing great at home.
That's why we call the podcast Typical Boro. John, pleasure having you on. Thanks for coming on, mate. Absolute
You're welcome,
pleasure.
pal.
Great stories, and as I say, we'll get you back on again for your best 11. Cuts, thanks for coming on again.
Cheers,
and
guys.
I'll see you soon. See you next week.
Right.
Well, the best guys up the Borough.
Remember,
Up
Boro
the Boro.
fans, don't see a Typical Boro. Watch it, listen to it, and we'll be back again next week. Up the Boro.